totally cluttered room of stuff getting packed up. How's it going, everybody? Sorry we started a little late. Even for me, usually 4:15 or so is the time. But as you can see, we've got a bit of packing going on here. Um, so yeah, but how is everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? We good? We having a good one? Let's sit down. Let's have a heart to heart. Let me move all my. There's basically one place here. Uh, ah, bonsoir, Isabel. Uh, Trash. Look at this tote. So it doesn't may not look, you may not grasp how big this thing is, but this tote is 50 gallons and it has wheels. And so I will be able to take the big pieces of manzanita, the big stones, anything that I need to move in pieces. And we can actually then take, if I want to move this tank, I'd probably take out that rock, that one, and then drain it down to about here since it's a 10 gallon. And then I can put all that plus the filter in water. I could probably even take out the filter media and just clean it while I'm at it. And when I move, then we'll be able to just literally transfer it right over. So pretty exciting stuff there. I'm excited about it anyways. So yeah. How are you guys doing? Let's see here. We'll just put it on this Akara tank while or not Akara, they're not Akaras, sorry. That's the pejorative name for them. These are Nanakara. They're special. Xanadudu, what's going on? Brienne, Isabel, J-Rad, fake name, Carol, Michael, Sunset, welcome, Jen, Spirulina, Kate, hello, Thomas, hello. I'm just kind of looking through comments real quick here. Yes, it is the final countdown. So a new 55 to 75 gallon discus tank setup. Gathering ideas, costs, and stuff, huh, Brienne? Right on. Yeah, Derek, welcome. Hello. And Chevy Fish, hello, my dear. Acupuncture, or aquapuncture. Hello. Aquapuncture is slightly different than acupuncture. So, what's soothing for me is taking this turkey baster. This is my stress relief for the day, and getting any old pieces of food since I fed these little buggers. I fed them brine shrimp and Mises shrimp and popcorn shrimp and shrimp gumbo and shrimp set. No. But what I want to show you in here, if I can find some, are the babies. The babies are getting big. Um, I'm definitely going to redo this tank, replant it. It's looking kind of sad as far as planting goes. But in this stream, one, I want to answer any questions, comments, concerns, problems that you guys have. Obviously, I get those written daily, and I've noticed a lot of live streamers, a lot of YouTubers on FishTube in the fish world. They'll answer those, and they'll sit with no visuals other than just maybe like a set when they're going live, and they're not really going around to their tanks a lot of times, or maybe they'll have like a green screen background of a tank. But they're answering people's questions that have come in throughout the week, or people have questions because they don't answer their comments. But one thing I really try to do with y'all is I really do try to answer questions as they come in. So I think you'll find that on my channel we definitely resolve issues the day they happen, which I feel is I mean, I try to do it to stand out, basically, and to be helpful. Doesn't help if your fish is dying and you get an answer a week later. But sometimes it makes it so that the content of the live streams isn't answering as many questions as may be optimal, I guess, for learning and teaching one another. Yeah, because I'm not the only one who can answer questions. You guys are great at answering questions for each other too. Like if someone has a question, it gets answered in the chat frequently. Yeah. So let's see here. I saw a comment that I was curious about. Oh yeah, have I tested the water at my new place? I did. I totally went over there when we did our first inspection, like legally speaking. How do we get this light out of our lives? Maybe like this. But yeah, I tested the water with the API test kit. Did all that. It had rust in the pipes because I think they just hadn't been used for a while. So that was one thing that was a little bit but other than that, it ran smoothly after that. And there was, or we have in the new place, a brand new tankless water heater. So that'll be great. It never runs out of heat, basically. It heats water as it's used. I hope that it still comes out at a rate that's good, I guess. I don't know. That's good enough to fill a bucket quickly. Spirulina, yes, the crocodile toothpick fish, definitely a very cool little nano fish. I actually want to get some from I want to get some from Aquarium Co-op. They're right up the road from me, but usually when they do an unboxing, by the time it goes up, the thing has already come out and it's done. I think I don't know. I might be wrong. I don't want to. So if I am, like, someone can correct me. But they usually quarantine like foreign stuff for a week or however long in their tanks there. But with the stuff that they get from the cichlid exchange, which is the same thing as the wetspottropicals.com, you guys can go to the wetspottropicals.com and buy the same fish they're buying. So just know that. Like, that's where they're buying them from down in Oregon. And you guys can go there. And each week they have a new list. And they have a lot of bizarre, rare stuff. That's where I've gotten some of my rare stuff. And hopefully in the new place, I'll be getting a bunch more weird, funky, rare stuff, and we'll be able to breed more because we'll have more tank space. We'll have another 40, we'll have another 55, and we'll have a bunch more 10s and 2.5s. Randy Roman, hello. Petraman, what's up? Kate, any advice on Panda garas? Yeah, I would give them good flow, lots of water. Flowing power heads, perhaps. Peplin Creek, hello, good evening. West Coast Aquatics, I changed the name of my channel. Oh, you're Elijah. All right, good to know, West Coast Aquatics. Yeah, how risky is it to put a 22-gallon rimless on a cabinet that has a glass top? If it's glass on glass, you might, if there's any moisture, or just sometimes it just happens, but sometimes if it's too smooth, like too perfect of surfaces, you can get both glasses suctioning to each other, basically, and so you might have a really hard time lifting it. You may need to slide it, which may make a cringing noise. But the glass, if as long as it's like a glass for a table, usually that glass is pretty solid, as long as there's something under it. 22, was it a 22 gallon? A 22 gallon, 22, so it's 22 times 8-ish is how much the water's gonna weigh, 8 pounds. And then, plus rocks and things like that, subtract the weight of a little bit of water, add a little bit more than 8 pounds, maybe 12 pounds or 10 pounds, for 3 or 4 of the gallons or something. So really, you're just adding a total of, I don't know, 2 to 5 pounds per gallon for hardscape, just to be on the safe side. But I think it should be good. So yeah, let's see here. You guys are chatting quick. Misfits. What's going on, Misfits? How are you doing? It's good to see you in here. Ginger Snaps. Hello, we got another Ginger in here? All right, right on. And yeah, definitely take the time to drive down to the wet spot. It is epic, for sure. Big Paydown. Oh, or Drown. Drow? Drow. Big Pay Drow. Thank you for stopping in. It's good to see you. DJ Aquatics, hello also. Good to see you. Do pygmy cory cats colony breed, and do snails eat the eggs? So that's a great question. It depends. So pygmy, the species Pygmaeus, Corydora pygmaeus, they will colony breed sometimes. They don't need the massive numbers that some quarries kind of tend to like to have in groups to spawn, where you get way better spawns when you have 12 or 20. They can do well in a group of 5 or 6, just fine. But they'll colony spawn if you have places for them to do it. If they do it on the glass, they'll eat the eggs before any snail eats the eggs, because you'll have snails. Most snails won't eat those eggs. It'll be something like an apple snail, mystery snail, an assassin snail, a black devil spike snail. Those will eat eggs sometimes, but most of the times, ram's horn snails, and bladder snails, pond snails, they generally actually eat the bacteria and bad stuff off the eggs. So they can be great. And shrimp are even better for babysitting eggs, which is nice. So yeah, Brienne's Fish Fam, are you getting rid of any plants when you tear down your fish room? I'm working on that issue, but I think, because I have more tanks that I want to set up when we get to the new place, I'll probably be busy moving, helping my wife move, all our stuff in general. But I think I'm gonna try to save some of the plants. But things like right now, duckweed, water lettuce, moss, just stuff that grows quickly, that's in abundance. I do have, yeah, I have extra, and I probably will be selling it as I move on Tuesday, and also over the weekend if anybody's looking for it. But I'll probably do it locally, so if you were inquiring as to that for shipping, perhaps I'll probably don't want to do that. Let's see here. Oh, Living Aquatics. Wow, thank you so much. We got the first super chat of the day, and it is a big one, a $24.99 super chat. Can I get stocking ideas for a 40-gallon planted aquarium? Thanks as always for your advice. Wow. Well, okay, thank you first of all. That's very kind. Very very appreciated also. I have a little gadget I want to show you guys in a minute again too. But just so you know, 40-gallon, what we're talking about, 40-gallon breeder. Flip this around. This is a 40-gallon breeder that's planted, I would say. Right now, I like these because I can still have room for my little fry holders, and I've got, a fry area. I've got another fry area in here. This one's kind of specially set up for my own insanity reasons, the way it is. But for a 40 breeder, that is really the size of aquarium that you can do whatever your heart's desire is. I mean, there are some fish that you don't want to keep in there long term. But even something like a red-tailed catfish or an Oscar or something big that gets huge that you're going to need like a 120 gallon for eventually, a lot of those fish can start off for 6 months to a year or whatever in a 40. Now, I'm not recommending that at all. I'm just saying that 40 breeders are really, in my opinion, like a 29, you still kind of have this shape, and it doesn't give the fish enough room to roam. I'd say a 20 long is almost better than a 29 just because of how fish can move back and forth. They can pace basically. Well, these tanks are great for that. They're great for plants. So I would recommend that you get this one is being lit up just by a Fluval 3.0, one of them. If I had two on here, I could be growing. There's no CO2 in here or anything right now, but I could be growing, I mean, just beautiful plants. Right now, I'm already getting pretty good color. And there's a layer of all this crud growing in here. Right now, this is just for nitrate control, basically. I mean, I just allow it to grow because then I don't have to keep up with it. But I mean, as you can see, these begging angelfishes, you can easily do. You could do a lovely setup of angels, or I mean, you could do discus. They generally like a little bit taller of tanks, like a 55 gives them maybe another, I don't know, 3 inches or something like that, or a 75 would be probably better for them. But I mean, I really, really enjoy doing this kind of thing where you can see there's baby fish in here, there's middle-aged fish in here. I've got Danios, I've got live bears, but I mean, you could do in a 40, you could do a great setup with, you know, some angels and or what I would do is I would pick your star, your the one that you're gonna make the tank for. So you could do angels, you could do rams, you could do Crebensis, you could do Nanochromis or Earth Eaters or you know, Acaras, blue Acaras. You could do any sort of little cichlids or medium-sized cichlids, and convict cichlids if you want. Something like that that's like a medium to larger size fish, and you could probably have 5 to 10 of those easily, and then 20 to 30 other smaller fish that are in the like neon tetra to Danio and Rasbora type thing. If they're chili Rasboras, you can have literally, you could probably have 500 in a planted tank like this, and you wouldn't have a nitrate problem whatsoever with chili Rasboras or the teeny like micro Rasboras or amber barbs or things like that. But I mean, you could also do a really fun hill stream tank. You can see here I've got a little lipstick goby in here. I've got striped barbs in here right now. The other thing that you could do, you're starting to get to the size with a 40 breeder, that you can also do a nice, I mean, you can do two sets of environments in those really easily. So you can do your fish that hang out at the bottom, and then you can do kind of your middle to top fish. And so I would think about who your starfish is, your starfish, who your big fish, your center of attention is, and pick that. So if that's a discus pair, or if it's rams or cichlids of some sort, or maybe some apistos, then great. If it's a smaller fish like shellies, you could do that. Probably wouldn't be very planted though because of the hard water. But I mean, okay, so let's pick something other than shellies since you said planted. You could do, for instance, a small colony of any small cichlids or medium cichlids even, or you could do just a ton of, you know, Stiphodons or these, you know, other gobies. You can get into the bigger gobies like the lipstick goby. You could do a bunch of Danios in kind of a biotope tank. Like here, I just always like to recommend that, so, you know, I've got the gudgeons that generally hang out low, the loaches that generally hang out low, those striped ones there, multi-striped loaches. dwarf loaches, and then the peacock gudgeons. They usually, I don't, they're coming up because they're hungry right now, but they usually hang out very low. The other thing you can do is you could get a group of plecos. That would be great. So you could do, they do make a lot of ammonia. I mean, they make a lot of waste, and therefore that translates into nitrates, nitrites, and ammonia. But you could do that and then have something that lives in the middle water, like a nice group of 20 or 30 tetras. Or if you didn't do plecos, you know, you could do 5 or 6 plecos of any sort, other than the 2-footers. I mean, like leopard frog plecos or gold nugget plecos, snowballs or green phantom, blue phantom, ancistrus of any sort, the bristlenose ancistrus. All those do great in a 40. You know, they really do. And if it's a really planted tank, my favorite thing to do is to get a few starfish, like I said, starfish, whether that's a angelfish or a gourami or whatever. So have those as your big color attractor, your eye catcher, and then from there get smaller fish that are compatible. So you'll have to figure out what that is. If you end up getting an Oscar or a Jack Dempsey or a green, you know, terror or something super violent, then you got to be careful. But I mean, here you can see, well, where'd it go? Of course, I say that and it darts off, but I have bettas in here too. So we've got tetras, bettas. I mean, there's probably 100, not 100, no, there's probably like 60 fish in here easily. Well, with fry, there probably are easily 100 actually, with all the little live bear fry. But yeah, so I would do that and then work backwards from your biggest fish, and then make sure you're utilizing the bottom, the middle, and the top water. So you could get rainbow fish. That's kind of the size of tank that you need to start working with the bigger species. So you could get a couple bosemani or something. There's the beautiful betta that I got from Aquatic Arts right there. There's another betta in here that's a yellow betta, and I'm hoping they spawn at some point, but so far they haven't been up for it. So, and when I move, I think what I'm going to do is only just catch the angelfish, and maybe the plecos if I can find them, and then from there I'll drain the water all the way to here. All the plants will be falling down all over the place. It'll be a mess. There won't be much oxygen in there. And then since it's a quick drive, I'll be driving over to the new place. And that should be, it should be probably 15 or 20 minutes to get there. And then if I do 2 or 3 tanks at a time with the help of my father and my neighbor from my childhood are helping. So we've got a couple trucks, but I think we're going to take, on the first day, we're going to do this one, the one at the top of the stairs, the big old rimless, and then we're going to do the 40 bow front too. So we'll do those 3 for sure, and then possibly the rimless too. But I mean, look at these beautiful, it's all colored up right now, the cobalt blue Stiphodons. I mean, this is only a little 17-gallon tank, or here's an Episto. So for stocking options, the sky's the limit, but you could really do, like, I mean, you could put 100 erythromicrons or celestial pearl danios in that tank and have a mix of things. So it's hard. I mean, that's a hard one to give you ideas for, because there's just not that many limitations. You can do so many cool things. You could also get some big mollies or sword tails or sailfin type fish, some goodyids from Central America or Mexico. I mean, yeah, if you give me more to work with in the comments, we can talk more later. But thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Let's see here, scrolling down, because looks like we got another super chat that I might have missed. What's going on, Kevin, Danny, Fancy Tail Aquatics? We got lots of people coming in. How is everybody doing? Let's see here. What do I use for fry holders? Well, that's a good question. I use a variety of things. My favorite one is being used as a net and a vinegar eel bottle container right now. But it hangs off the side, and in that way it then uses water. It's got a little thing that goes in, like a little stem that goes in as an intake into the other, whatever your main tank is. And that way it shares the water. Then you don't have to worry at all about if it's, getting icky, because in a small container like that where you're raising fry, it's so common to get rot if you're feeding them anything. And if you don't totally turn the water over all the time, it's a constant battle. I love the ones that hang on the side. And I think in the description I have I think there's a link on Amazon to the one that I actually bought. Then we got this little pistol. Um, Connie, hello, welcome. Let's see here. Oh, Kate, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I really appreciate it. Thanks always for answering my questions. Sorry for the late tip. No, no, better late than never. Whatever. I mean, don't worry about it. I am here for free, or I'm here for whatever you can contribute. I want to help as many folks as I can, but it does help me be able to spend more time on it when folks throw things my way. So thank you. Aqua Balls, what's going on, George? How's it going, buddy? Alex, good day. How long should I incubate killifish eggs? It depends on the killifish. Some you literally put in a shoebox, or or a Tupperware, or whatever you want to store them in. Something that has mild humidity, like 30 or 40%, and then you basically just wait, and you put it in peat moss, like soak the peat moss, wring it out like one good squeeze, and then you leave it in there. Others you keep completely dry and you put them in mud or something like that. So it does depend on the species. That's for annual killies. If they're not annual killies, then you're only talking about a matter of weeks, and you want to just put them in there, and within a few weeks they will be able to hatch. So yeah. Let's see here. Don Gallagher, hello. Checking out all your great questions. Yes, T-Bone. I found a house, bought a house, moving into the house. Happened a couple weeks ago that we got the place. We bought the place, and it's closed, escrow, and all that stuff. We literally get the keys and all that. I think So on Monday night, actually. So in 3 days or whatever. Here's another nice little Stifodon. This is the neon gold, or no, this is the Palauan riffle goby. Sorry, hard to tell sometimes, but this one I forgot. They have the little the dotted line down the side with the yellow fins. Let's see here. Johanna Jean-Francois, any tips on how to proceed with rescaping an existing tank? I do. I actually have a video called How to Change the Substrate Out of an Existing Tank, or how to add new substrate to an existing tank, add new active substrate. That will help you with the substrate part. The rest is kind of up to you. I've also done some rescapings. If you look up my rescape videos where I say rescaping the so-and-so aquarium, you'll see that also has my method, which is generally, I generally will take out any big fish or very sensitive fish to stress. So like in here, I might take out the Luminatus, because they jump, they're very emotional, they get scared easily, and they color up, get stressed. Might take the little baby Sultan Pleco out. Oh, it was just out. Where did he go? And then the rest of them, usually I drain the water down to here or something, and then I start taking out hardscape. I've got a method for how I take out section at a time over a couple weeks, how I deal with taking out the actual substrate, especially if it's active, like ADA Amazonia or something that leaches ammonia and nitrites. And you have to remember that your surface area, everything, I mean, whether it's your Anubias cluster back here or some moss growing on a stick, that has surface area that is providing, as water flows over it, that's providing you beneficial bacteria that's helping you. So if you don't have a hang off the back or some other filter that's going to keep up with things, you definitely want to make sure that you're adding some filtration or adding a little bit of oxygen while you do that. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You really just do what you want to do. Boy, look at how colorful she is. Or he is, I should say. The females are not quite that bright. It'll come back. But look at that cobalt. Well, and the Apisto's chasing it. These Apistos have gotten territorial, which I'm hoping means that they may spawn soon. But I don't know. We don't know. Also, you can really see the erythromicron. Their stripes and everything there. The female versus the male. There's a female clear one versus the males with the dark stripes. And then these are the CPDs, if we can get a good look at them. Come on, focus. And then the hybrids that are a mix of both are these ones. They have a dot on their tail. They have dots, little speckles all over like a trout, and then like a Dolly Varden trout. And then they have a dot on their tail, which they get from the erythromicrons, but the stripes are not, that is not a dominant trait. But boy, look at the beauty of this Apisto Panduro female. I think she's prettier than the male even. Just a beautiful yellow fish. She gets even brighter sometimes. And then there's the male. He's all colorful too. So they're ready to spawn. So another thing, I'm just a little concerned that that'll stress them out. But apparently everyone in this tank today is just feeling life. They are enjoying it. They like hanging out with you guys. The sparkling gouramis are colorful. They've been having babies up in the corner. And I've been moving those babies into this container here. Where are they? I know you exist, babies. So yeah, another fry container you can use is the static rather than dynamic fry containers that don't have an airline. That works fine for certain fish. Some cyprinids, danios, and rainbow fish while they're real young. It works well for, like in here, we have some hatching right now. These have all hatched midday today. I cleared this out this morning. And those little dots are more eggs. But what I do is I just keep moss in this tank, and it's not heated or anything, but this is the Medaka rice fish tank. And there's also some guppies in there too, unheated. And they hang out, and I basically comb through and pick out the eggs every few days. I'll look at night usually with my LED on my phone, and I'll take the moss, pull it aside, look through it, and you'll find them. And then I just take it and gently roll one off the moss, or if it's on the glass, roll it off the glass, and then put it in here. Once they hatch, then I move them to a hatching pen, a medium pen, and then from there they can go to there or there for their kind of 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch size. And then as soon as they're, you know, yay big, they can come back with the adults. Now they're not a super predatory fish or anything, so don't have to worry too much about it. Jason, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you with your actual account. What a rare sighting. Sorry guys, I'm behind on the chat. Let me try to catch up real quick. Would you put a 30 centimeter, that is 7-gallon cube aquarium? What would I put in it? Oh boy. This is pretty close to the kind of stuff I would like to put in it. I would use sparkling gouramis. I love them. You could do just a species tank, and they would definitely have babies in there. They'd probably eat most of their babies, but if you want, you could put them aside and do a thing like this, and they're fine. I mean, in here, this isn't even a gallon anymore, and there are a colony of spawning their native pygmy sunfish, the Gilberti. That would work well. These are my little 2 gallons. I mean, obviously shrimps. I would definitely do something where you could do shrimps and some nearite snails for maintenance. But I love, CPDs, celestial pearl daniels. I love rasboras. I think a lake inlay tank would be great. It looks like, do we have a suckerfish stuck in the stem here? We do. I'm going to have to turn off that filter. If he hits the impeller, he's donezo. But clearly he's been in there a little while. Maybe he's doing okay because he's definitely able to go down the stem. But here we've got another little nearite, and it's because they have to go over here and smell it and then hop. But I'm going to kick him off. I want him cleaning in the tank rather than on the waterfall. But yeah, I mean, if you're doing a high-tech tank, I'd get something real teeny, and chili rasboras, phoenix rasboras, Kubota rasboras, something like that, and I would just let them hang out. I mean, you could also get some little stiphodons if it's a real clear tank that you got good filtration on, like I have here. Another great little addition, if you just want one, would be like a twig catfish or a farwalla or something like that that's interesting, a banjo catfish. And then these are another great option. These little bumblebee gobies, they color up yellow and black pretty bright when they're excited. There's one that's kind of excited. And they're full grown right here. This is full grown. This is my pinky, my hand. I mean, that's full grown. So you could put, I don't know, 50 of them in there if you felt like it. Male endlers. It's a little small in a 7-gallon to have both genders, but males, I mean, they do great. Having just a couple male endlers tend to be smaller than guppies, but you could do guppies too. And just for the color, they're just beautiful and they look great. The other thing you could do, obviously, are neon tetras, or these are Somfongzi rasboras. I have a video that's 20 nano fish with color, or 20 nano fish that get along with shrimp. Both of those videos have a lot of suggestions that would all work for you great. So yeah, let's see here. T-Bone, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. And Laura, thank you so much too. Laura says, I think I am seeing mating behavior with 2 of my stir-by Corys. Never kept them before, so I need more info. So pretty much all Corys behave fairly similarly. And what they will do is they will circle around in the water on the bottom first, and they'll kind of cluster together for the days before, and then something in the water, pheromones, happens, and it tends, if you've got a tall enough tank, sometimes they won't do it in a 10-gallon or a 15 or a 20 long. I mean, 10 gallons pretty small for Corys anyways. But what they'll do is they'll run up the glass. They'll go up and down, up and down, up and down. And happy Corys will do that anyways. You'll see them shoot to the top and take a gulp of air and then shoot back down. They just like doing that. I don't know why, but they do. And it's cute and adorable. And why people like Corys. I mean, one of the many reasons. Let's go over to the filterless tank and look at that while we chat. It's going crazy with this new Hygger light that I have on it. I mean, it's hard to even see what's going on in here. We'll scoot the light back. But, I mean, this thing, let's get rid of this too. Move some of the art. Art's all got to get moved carefully, you know, on its own, basically, to the new place. But right now, we've got so much immersed growth with this Hygger light. Really a big change compared to the old light, which was a twin star of all things. So this Hygger light puts out vegetative growth frequencies of light really well. I mean, it does. Let's clear out some of this so we can actually see into the tank. I mean, this needs such a trimming. This is to the point where the fish can barely swim, which isn't good. They need to be able to move more. Now, Granted, it does make it so that they can probably spawn in the tank. There's a nice Panda gara. For those of you who don't think hillstream species can live in a filterless tank, they definitely can. But here's some Corys right here. And so like with these pepper Corys, let's see if they'll do it. Sometimes they get excited, and these guys, just when I even come to feed them, they'll run up the glass and start exhibiting mating behavior. But the main mating behavior is one will go up the glass, and then the other one will headbutt it, and it's called the T, like the letter T as in tree position. And you'll see that happen over and over again. And usually, if you've got a group of them, which you should, usually for Corys anyways, just for them to be happy, they'll do the T position. They'll swim up. The other one will headbutt them in the belly, and then the other few in the area will kind of join in and surround. And that's usually a good indicator that they're spawning or they're getting ready to spawn. And then what you can do is you can do about a 40% water change with 10 or 15 degree cooler water. And if you can control it, lower TDS. And then you put that in, and the net difference should be about 5 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit or 2 to 4 degrees Celsius difference in water change, and that signals the rain season coming. It signals the flood, and yeah, so I think that is one of the most fun things to do. It's pretty easy. It works with plecos too. That same faking the flood method. Let's see here, and yeah, I have soft water for sure. Let's see here. Yeah. Hey, Fatherfish, how's it going? Oh, thank you so much, Fatherfish. $10 super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited that I finally have a 55 gallon tank, so that's 4 feet across. I'm excited to set it up. I get to set it up kind of like a fatherfish deep substrate. Those 55s are nice and tall. They're not too deep this way, so they're not the best for aquascaping, but they're great for just if you need that height for like a discus pair or something. They work great for that. You see how the Cory just darted up like that? These Corys that are hanging out together, they're getting excited. This is like happy Cory behavior, but when they start actually doing the thing where they nuzzle each other's bellies, that's when you'll know that they're thinking about it. And you can either put a piece of slate at an angle, or a piece of glass, or stone, or for that matter, just the side of your tank is what they'll use usually. And they'll lay the eggs. You just want to get them out of there if you can, ideally. And put them in, even if it's just a cup of water that you're changing every 12 to 24 hours, you're changing the water out. Or you can get a little bit of methylene blue, or for that matter, a float pen. But the most common thing is for them to rot over. So if you're not changing that water or running water over it continuously. Greg the Guppy, hello. What's it to ya? Hello. How many sparkling gouramis could you put in a 7-gallon? Oh, I mean, easily 12. I mean, probably I would do 5 or 6 in a group. Some males and some females. You'll get that dynamic like I have in that other tank. And then pick some small little Phoenix Rasboras, or maybe like a gold eye or gold ring Danios, some Tinwinny Danios, or erythromicrons, and then maybe an interesting little banjo catfish, or some sort of small marbled zebra autosynclus even. Something like that would get along real well in there. Right on. You just are breeding a bunch of CPDs, George. That is awesome. Definitely. Let's see here. Alan, thank you so much. $8.88 moving expenses. I appreciate you. I appreciate it. Yeah, Fatherfish is throwing dancing money around. Yeah, so's Alan. Alan just moved too, and I need to send him a cutting from my Laganandra upstairs. By the way, you guys can probably see all the shrimp in this tank. That is what gives me the success on these tanks that have no filter, have no, it has no heater, no filter, no maintenance. I don't ever, gravel vac it or anything. I don't even scrape algae. I haven't had to scrape algae in this tank in 2 years. I haven't had to do anything with algae. You can see it's got a lot of plants. The mystery snails or an apple snail, I mean, that kind of snail, if you get, there is a chance that they will eat some of your plants. They'll munch on your tender victuals, your your green plants and things. But I like having one in there because that way it's going to eat the dying and dead leaves that are there first and help break those down, which in a heavily planted tank there's a lot of plants that just die. And usually I'll do it by hand. I'll remove things and prune things, but you can see how dense this tank is getting in growth. So this one will probably get reset at the new house, other than I may keep this nice Amazon sword and this Loganandra, or not Loganandra, this Ludwigia super red. Might keep that stuff, definitely. But yeah, let's see. Scrolling for more questions. Volunteer is the answer. Hello, welcome. Yeah, I think a lot of people, I think it is a good idea to breed CPDs right now also. Because if you saw my latest video about Myanmar, they're having a real tough time right now with a coup that happened with the government, the military, and they're really restricting and limiting access to certain parts of the country. And the region of Shan, which borders Laos and Cambodia, or not Cambodia, but Thailand, and then to the North China, that area has just been notorious for both drug trafficking, manufacturing, and communist rebel fighters, as well as fascist or like dictator, pro-dictator, and even a pro-monarch group, a pro Christian and a pro-Buddhist and a pro-Islamic group. So that area is just not safe for outsiders so much lately. And it wasn't open to outside exploration until 2006. That's when we were introduced to CPDs, celestial pearl danios, in the hobby at large, and erythromicrons, and rummy nose rasboras, and escope danios, and a lot of different shrimp. And I mean, there's so many species that came out of there. And it was the fact that they had a very underdeveloped country that had been kind of kept frozen in time by the military junta that ran it. But man, I just am blown away by how beautiful, sorry about the reflection, but how beautiful this cobalt Stiphodon goby is today. This is the female here. She's just chilling and regal, whereas the male's that bright blue rocking around. And here's another little one, smaller species of the neon gold variety. But yeah, let's see here. I should probably skip like all the way down. Leslie's Aquatics, hello. Mark, hello. Andrew Norris, where do I find my fish? I buy them from Aquatic Arts predominantly. And then sometimes I'll go to Aquarium Co-op, which I happen to live near. Sometimes I'll go to Aquarium Zen. Sometimes I'll go to the Wet Spot, which is also known as the Cichlid Exchange. That's a 4-hour drive each way for me, but worth it. I mean, that's where you can get really good quality, rare apistos and cichlids. But most of these nano fish and things either come from the local club and hobby, or they come from the store, the Wet Spot, down in Portland, Oregon. Oh, I said I was going to try to show you guys the fish in here that are hanging out. Where did I put my cattle prod? Here it is. All right. Oh, and I was going to show you guys something that a great supporter of the show got me. Do scarlet bass kill adult cherry shrimp? No. I have a video on fish that get along with shrimp, and I have another one on nano fish that don't, that you'd be surprised by, that hunt them. But bass will definitely try to eat as many babies as they can, but they're not going to eat the adults just by size of mouth. So I got this thing. Obviously not sponsored by it or anything. My good friend, who I will be announcing, he's got a shrimp breeding company down in Cali that he started up. This is a humidity and temperature reader, and it sends it to your smartphone, basically. So that'll be in the new Fishroom. I'm excited to have that. You can set thresholds for alerts, so if something's up, the heat's too high or too low, and things are beeping, and danger, Will Robinson, danger. So here comes the male. Come back. Come back, baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. Okay, so right here, this is a female. Sorry about that. The female. She's not very colorful right now. You guys have seen these colored up in other videos and live streams, but that's one of the females. The male. Where are you, Mr. Male? Hanging out somewhere. But what I wanted to show you is how big these fry have gotten. There aren't many of them. Parents did a good job of eating most of their babies in a colony setup. This is a colony setup in that there are and the reason I'm sucking up this poo is not because of anything like I need to. Like, it will fall through the substrate and be fine in the long run. I'm just doing this because I'm going to be moving the tank, so it's not going to have time to develop into a proper mulm, ammonia, broken down humus, or substrate layer. It's just going to be poo. So here we go. Come here. So that's one of the fry. That one that just zoomed by, that's like almost completely full grown, and it's been not even 3 months. These things grow so quickly. Most of them have not grown that fast, though. Let's try to find another one. The other ones, and then also I've got a guppy in here, and so there's some, you probably can't see it, but in here there's also under here there's a bunch of coral, crushed coral, to kind of give the some water, some hardness. But the babies, there goes one. Let's try to scare it towards the front again. Here we go. We can scare it out this way, I think. Maybe not. Come on. Well, maybe we won't see the babies, but in any case, the babies are growing. Oh, there's one back there. The babies are growing at a very quick rate. Yeah, see, there's one right there. The very back. Pardon all the glare. I know it's awful. This angle, there should be less glare. Let's see. What are you guys talking about? Also, I have some crazy new video topics that I'm excited about. Definitely. Alishon, hello. Look at that, a pisto. Look at that happy male Panduro. Yeah, Redfish Bluefish store has a ton of great fish to choose from too. Duh, staring me in the face, my buddy Jason, where I got the guppy, where I got my banshee from, where I got the, literally no one will ever see these in the US. I've never seen them before in the US until Jason brought them in, of redfishbluefish.shop. But these, the longfin neon tetras, incredible These are like the goldfish-bodied ones. They have got the big veil tail. They're just great. I love them. They're so much fun to watch. Also, I have some honey gouramis growing out in here, doing their thing. They're real young still, only like, oh, I don't know, 2 weeks old maybe. So they still just look like every other fry of any kind in the world. And then the panda garas, or panda loaches, sorry, which, as I said, a lot of people kept saying, they're going to change color, you know that, right? No, not if you have the northern fork kind. Then they only change about this much, which is what I have, obviously. And here's a good example of, well, I just scared it away. Good job, Alex. A good example of one that had changed the most that these ones changed, like this. That color gets less opaque. The black gets less black. The white gets more buttercream. How do you encourage root growth? I mean, you can use root tabs, but basically by putting nutrients in the water, by putting nutrients down in the substrate is how you encourage root growth. And then giving them plenty of sunlight. I mean, lots of sunlight is going to be the key to growing them. CO2 helps too. That helps the density and the bulking up of the plant. All right, let's see here. Mr. B's CPDs. I like that name. Right on. Welcome. So the other thing that I was thinking about, I read this article. Hey, you need to be cold. Ruthlessly. Why won't this focus? And you're pregnant. I'll probably wait till this has babies, even though I shouldn't. But she needs to be cold. Why can't I get a focus on you? There we go. But yeah. So I bugged Jason with this, and this is my overflow live bearer tank over here. And there's some stuff that was just hanging out. Sorry, so this one's so dirty. That was hanging out in my ponds outside, or that has a broken spine, for instance. And I thought, oh, it's gonna die. Well, 6 months later, she's still around and having babies all the time. They eat them. There's also some orange Corys in here that were oddballs that just hatched unexpectedly, and I didn't have room for them with their group. But what I was gonna say is that there is new information out. Let me sit upright again. There is new information out. Hurry up and spit it out, Alex. Wow, boy, do I look crazy after crawling on the floor to get those shots. Okay, so there's new information out right now, and it just came out. But they've figured out how to take Bacopa caroliniatus, or caroliniana, and they have put gold nanoparticles in the plant in Taiwan, scientists, and they've taken those little, as a molecule, they're shaped like, the gold apparently is kind of star shaped, or like spiky, like a spiky ball, and it floats around and it agitates something about the photosynthesis, the photosynthetic cells, which honestly I need to read the research. I haven't read the research paper. I read the article. Isabel, thank you so much. $3.33, the lucky number. Thank you so much. Thank you. I love that amount. That's the amount I like to give to when I'm trying to hop from place to place and donate. But they're able to take this gold nanoparticle, put it into Bacopa caroliniana, and at nighttime, when it's respiring, when it's producing CO2 rather than oxygen or O2 out into the world, it just kept photosynthesizing. The gold particles allowed enough light to reflect around, and we're talking such little amounts of gold, like I don't know, like a grain of sand worth weight of gold, but ground up into fine dust, that was enough that it, when they showed it on a microscope slide, it was, a good smear, a little pile, but it's just super fine dust with a ton of surface area of gold that they make through an electronic process where they send a current through it, and it basically orients itself upright. And it's not gold isn't it's not a magnetic metal, it's not a ferrous metal, but it is a, I think they would consider it a superconductor, right? Or is it a semiconductor? I think it depends on how they set it up. But in any case, there's a way that they get it to spike up. I'll have to read what method they use for it and which arrangement of gold it is. Just like carbon can be an incredibly strong thing, like graphite or diamonds, or graphite nanotubules might be probably the most strengthy thing that we've created as humans artificially, arguably. But basically, they put it in the plant, and at night, it causes the plant to glow bright red. Like enough light that they said you could read a book from a foot away from the plants. You could read a book easily. And that's red light, which is not the best to read by as us humans. So now they're tweaking it, and they're getting it to put out green light and other colors of light by changing the angles on that gold nanoparticle. So I'll make an actual video on that. The other thing I want to make a video on is Bacopa monieri, which has another characteristic, which is that it's being used as a nootropic or smart drug. People say that it keeps them awake, that it increases memory and information retention, stuff like that, which I guess they've proven that that piece of it. It's been used in Ayurvedic medicine for 6,000 years or something. They've found traces of it in archaeological sites in India, but they have also found more recently that it's also it has, what are they called, baconids, which looks like bacon, but it's like bacopa, but baconids, and they're a class of chemical that there's 12 of, I guess, and they're able to impact memory retention and the conductivity of nerve and neuron signaling through the potassium ion channels, I guess. So yeah. The craziest thing about it is, instead of releasing CO2 gas, it releases hydrogen gas. So it's releasing, instead of releasing CO2 at night, just like all your plants do, and that's why you don't want your CO2, canisters or pumps on at night. If you have an aquarium that doesn't have a ton of air, or that doesn't have a waterfall or a good hang off the back, at night while it does that, it's pumping its own body with the liquid hydrogen, which is it turns it into a gas, and then within the plant, it doesn't have room to go anywhere, and the plant is sturdy enough, I guess, at that small of a scale, that it liquidizes it into like a compressed, condensed form, and they're able then to take leads. And let's see if we can do this. Oh wait, of course now the female decides to come out and show off. But let's try this with which one should we sacrifice, guys? Let's sacrifice this guy. So I'm gonna sacrifice it. See how those bubbles are coming out? Well, that is oxygen in the daytime that's coming out. That's how plants pearl. I could have just shown you this Glossostigma elotoides that's doing it. But I wanted to show you that when you break it, it comes rushing out. So what they did was they hooked up little teeny micro leads, and they were able to at night get hydrogen gas instead of oxygen bubbles. And that's just mind-blowing, because that hydrogen is a very flammable, explosive fuel. We know that water in fuel cells, they're able to split it and create hydrogen fuel cells like in cars. That's been kind of one of the holy grails. So this plant is able to create ambient light just by adding the gold, and then it uses up CO2 from the outside at night also. So basically you have a plant that is producing light, sucking up 5 times the CO2 that a plant normally does, that plant normally does, and it's producing hydrogen out of water and the atmosphere. It's creating hydrogen gas and liquid. So insane. Really cool new science. And yeah, for members, definitely I will put a link. I can put some links in the community tab. So if you're a member, it's $1.99 a month. I put links to all my research, not all of it, but most of my research that's interesting or that goes somewhere. I like to do that. And yes, and they are thinking of using it for space travel, for a fuel source. But they're also thinking of using it for bioremediation in cities where there's just a lot of CO2 and car exhaust, because they found that it glows brighter and brighter the more CO2 or carbon monoxide or dioxide that it has in the environment. Which, I mean, most plants like that stuff. It's plant food, but that encourages it to glow brighter. And so in a city, they're thinking that they could engineer it with these gold particles, but they'd have to inseminate each plant. And what they want to do is they want to genetically splice a tree with that ability. And then from there, they would be able to have trees with the leaves blue or green or red or whatever color they pick, and the whole place would glow, and they wouldn't need to pay for electricity. It would be fueled by the waste of car exhaust and industrial processes. So really cool there. And Chevy Fish just posted a link if you do want to join the channel. I appreciate it. And there are perks for members if you want to do a shout out, or if you decide you want to name one of my fish, or you need, even at the other levels, you get my cell phone number, and you can call me in the middle of the night with problems, even though I've done that for many people that aren't paying members or anything too. But now as the channel gets bigger, I'm kind of using that as a gatekeeping. Like, I still want to put out as much info free as I can and answer all your questions as much as I can. But it would be so lovely to make a living off of doing this. I mean, just enough to get by off just the channel. And so I would love to keep putting out that content and just have a lot of people, that want to pay $1.99. And if you can spare it, sure, $5.99 or $10.99, whatever you want to spare. It's just, it helps ensure that I can get the content made and that I don't have to go work the other job, for that. It lets me put out 4 or 5 videos a week with the live streams included, rather than that. It lets me get a hold of, for now, more so, it lets me get a hold of interesting plants and animals and things like that. But the questions are never ending and the science is always changing, so I love to share that. Also, I forgot to tell you guys too, I've got a bunch of plants that I've bought over the last few months. So some of them I need to use sooner than later, I think. Yeah, oh, that one might be close to toast. It was already marked down when I bought it, but it's interesting. Most tissue cultures, which Redfish Bluefish, Jason's channel, he goes over this a lot. I've got videos on what a tissue culture is, how to use them, etc. But he goes over it in much, much more detail, like which chemicals are used and how you can do it, kind of. But in this, I noticed that they didn't use agar, or jelly. They actually used a liquid that is halfway up in the cup, filling it, to allow pogostemon, what is it? Pogostemon Hellfry? Is that what I have? Yes. Sorry. And then same with the pink flamingo. It's, you know, it's a tissue culture, but it has the gel, so kind of interesting. Some of the nutrients and also roots of certain plants are more sensitive, and so they'll make the gel opaque, also, which is kind of cool and interesting. And let's see, what else is going on? I'm a little limited in this room, streaming wise, because well, you know, it's stacked to the brim with stuff. And then my wife is upstairs relaxing on, you know, it's her day off and we got to move, so I want to give her space. But I'll definitely show you guys the other aquarium again. I'll make some videos before I have to move, because there's a good chance that when you move an aquarium, it's never going to come back together again the way it was. I mean, there's probably going to be a period where, I mean, you could get ammonia spikes from disrupting the substrate. You could get other issues like just levels being off and algae blooming. You could get that, you know, the water has some rust in it, and hey, a little panda Cory, he's new. Literally, how did he escape my detection in a 5-gallon? It's crazy how that happens. I had them in here a while back when they were really little, but he's just been hiding, I guess. There's also the Hebrosis Cory in here too, and then the freshwater bumblebee, true bumblebee fellas. And then I've got some big catfish in here that I need to move, the Synodontis. I'm probably going to get rid of these mustard catfish, actually, just because they do require a big tank. And let's see, do I have my... Oh, my wife grabbed the step stool again. Never mind. I was going to say I could look at them and show you guys what they look like again. Yeah, like Muppet said, if you're interested in... No, I'm going to be setting up a water change system that I think... You know, I think the first round, like while we're moving in, I think it's just going to be set up like a Python where I can just turn the hose on and then move it from tank to tank, which will be so much easier than buckets and siphons. And then I'll also have a siphon that, or in a little electric pump maybe. I might do the electric pump because then I can pump it up and out the window. And then I'll just open the window and we'll put the water with all the nitrates in it into the yard, the garden, which has a drainage field and everything in it already. But I mean, that way it'll just totally fertilize the ground right outside, and probably start sprouting some of the oddball plants that are in here, you know, like this one. This one will grow if it gets out, but it'll be in my yard, so that's okay. But yeah, so let's see here. Kind of wish you had a Discord channel to link all of your research articles you have found to be good reads. That said, moving is priority. Yeah, Mr. Gromby, I have under YouTube on the community tab, there are links. Sometimes, like, for some reason, YouTube doesn't, like, the link dies or it's not like a hot link anymore. But I try to put all the links to my research on there. All the links to stuff that I'm citing in the video that day, I'll try to put on there. That doesn't mean that I didn't read more than that, but those are the ones that I found interesting or helpful, or that I started my research from. And then the sources of that article are kind of where I branched out from. And like I said, that's not always visible to the whole public, but that's one of the things that I do for the subscribers that are paid members. Is it's kind of more incentive because this isn't obviously this isn't like college or or my thesis or my doctorate degree. It takes a lot of time to cite things and to keep track of all the things you look at, and also write it up and share it or whatever you may be doing with the material. But it's just another step. But the other thing I've been doing is trying to share outlines of videos whenever I write one. That's not just kind of from my mind, from memory, and from just a handful of notes. I'll try to include that. Um, Now, this is the tank that also I'm concerned as far as aquascape wise tearing it down, how it's going to move. That rock, and that rock. Well, that one too, actually. This one here. They're all without the water pressure, keeping them kind of wedged against each other and bumping in the car. There's a good chance that they'll fall and slide out. All this center section will slide out. So I don't know for sure what I'll do because this tank too, when you drain the water low, because of how high the substrate is, I'll only be draining it with that much space. So we'll get the apistos out of there, and probably the Stiphodons. They don't like dirty water. They need very clean water. So we'll get them out of there. But the sparkling gouramis, the CPDs, the baby plecos that are in here, they should all be okay. The autosynclus, they should be okay. All right, guys. So I think we're gonna wrap up this live stream soon. Unless you have any final questions, thoughts, concerns, massive donations. I'm not gonna stop you. I won't stop that from occurring if that's what you want to occur. But no, I want to do a video because I keep getting asked lately. I get asked if Alex, how do you come up with the ideas for videos, or like where do you do your research? What magazine are you reading that sparks, where you get these ideas? And they're questions. I think about things like a little kid in the sense of I play the why game. So I go and I look at an aquarium and I'm like, why are plants green? Well, it's because of chlorophyll. Okay. The way it reflects light. Why? Because green is the best color of, is the color of light that is reflected back at us. And, I start going through it in my head, and then, but why? And then eventually you'll get to some point that is like, I don't know. That is kind of odd. Or maybe that connects to something I was thinking about earlier. And from there, then I'll go online. And the quick summary is basically that I go and I look on Wikipedia. I look on the quick Google searches and DuckDuckGo and even Yahoo, just to get different search results. The other one I love is Google Scholar. Seriously Fish. There's places like that I know of that are kind of secrets that I've had to learn, which are basically it's like the internet's my library, but some things are reference books, and if you just search the library, you'll get the subject, but you won't know which reference book has all the color pictures of every species of Corydora, like Planet Catfish or Catfish Planet, Catfish World. I don't know, there's a bunch of variations of it, but the big one that Ian Fuller runs with the Corys. From there, it's kind of like a closed internet. Like you can search within their site, and that helps. And then from there, what I'll do is I'll look at their sources, and then I'll key those in to Google. From there, I then go in and see what comes up. I find relevant things. A lot of times I'll find a side tangent, and I'll save it as a bookmark, or I'll put it in a file of like, same researcher does why orange guppies are the most successful color for spawning or breeding. I don't know, whatever the the thing is. And from there, it just kind of it builds, and I try to validate things that way. Now, things are always changing in our hobby. They are always evolving, and with science, it's right until it's wrong. So you have to keep in mind that you're not always going to be accurate. It may change in 5 years. By the way, I bought a laser level, just a cheapo one, so that I know that the shelves are level and everything, and pictures hanging and all that. And then I also bought this little ceramic heater, and there is a really interesting video on a channel called Technology Connections. You know, that's another thing I might do for members that are paid members, as I might do. Maybe I'll do it for everyone, but I might link to some channels that I find interesting that are not fish related, but they're just cool. And Technology Connections is this kind of super nerdy dude, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but he's just very into industrial design and retail, commercial, consumer designs. And he looks into like takes apart a product and talks about how all the ways in which it works or doesn't work, or the history of it, or the problems with it. And hey, John Dune, hello. And Chalupa No Tomatoes, what's going on? We got so many great people who've come through this stream. I'm so happy to see everybody. You guys make me happy. You make me so very happy. But in any case, yeah, so he looked at space heaters, and in the US, they're all only 1,500 watts. Like, that's the max that they can be for a home space. Oh, thank you, Chevy Fish. I appreciate it. And space heaters are a ripoff. They can only heat up 1,500 watts energy worth of heat, and that they've made it efficient enough with ceramics and just knowing how convection works. And basically, a small one can do the exact same thing as a big one. Now, the size of the fan involved and how much it pushes around, that varies a little bit, and whether it has a thermostat that is remote, so the thermostat is across the room, that ensures that things are actually heated to the temperature it says. And then how sensitive the thermostat throttle is, or not throttle, the tolerance is, that also will decide when it kicks on in the fish room. Because just like in your fish tank, heaters go on all the way, full blast, or off. And then they wait until the temperature falls below whatever you set it, 78. So when it's 77, clicks on and goes full blast, and then it decides the tolerance is 82 or 83 or 79.1, whatever it may be that is your tolerance that's set, and how accurate the machine is, and then it will heat. But if you graphed it, you would see this wave chart, like a sine wave, over and over, that's completely predictable, controlling for outside temperature, completely predictable. And so that can affect the quality of your heater and your space heater if you're using it for a fish room. But basically, there was no difference in any of them after 1,500 watts, as far as that went. So yeah. Petraman, how many should I put in there? How do I... Oh, you guys are helping each other and figuring it out. All right. Hey, Jan Burden, what's going on? Well, I think I'm going to sign off here. We've got a whole lot of boxes, tiny boxes on the hillside, and a bunch of aquariums. And, you know, I might sign on Tuesday and show you guys some of the stuff going down, the shelves that I'm building and all that. But I can't promise. I'll probably have a video made by then, though, because I do want to talk about the incredible hydrogen production and CO2, CO cleanup, hydrocarbon cleanup too. It sequesters hydrocarbons too. Fungi do that also, which is interesting, but they're not genetically splicing anything. It's just gold nanoparticles is enough that it does it. That's all they have to do to it, which is crazy to me. It reflects enough light. It's such a reflective surface on a nano scale that the wavelength is high enough that even at night time, it like the moonlight or the stars or whatever ambient light is enough that it can cause photosynthesis to keep going. Only it's a different kind. It uses CO2 in certain plants as the fuel, which I mean, the other plants do that too, but it uses it at a much faster rate. Rususa Aquarios, hello, welcome. Yes, much work ahead. Thank you so much for the well wishes. F Florida New York fish, or is it Flinny fish? Welcome though. It's so good to see new faces and all that stuff. What's the hardest plant I have grown? What that you have found to be the most rewarding? I like flowering Anubia or Bucephalandras. I think they're beautiful. Or Crips, flowering them underwater. Real intense light and then not getting algae. That's a real hard balance, but it's really beautiful. And then you can cut open the inflorescence or the flower, the pod, the bud, and in the center it's different. It's different colors and stuff. So I like that. But I think Florida Ramosior rotala is another tricky one that I like. That's really beautiful when done right. Carpeting plants, that's another one that just when you do it right, it looks very nice. When you do it wrong, it does, I mean, it looks fine, but it's just, you didn't do it. So when you get it right and you've dialed everything in, especially in a low tech tank, like, oh, if you can get baby tears, let alone dwarf baby tears, but if you could get baby tears to carpet or Monte Carlo to carpet in a low tech, super rewarding to me to know that you got everything dialed in like that. The other one, blood vomit. That is a crazy plant. It looks really cool, and I've only kept it alive for like 3 or 4 months, and then any little change, like, oh, too big of a water change, boom, it's dead, and it's expensive. The other ones I like too, the last one I'm going to mention, I think, other than, even though it's not that hard, but Kabamba Furcata is beautiful. The fire and the rainbow varieties. If you really hit it with light and CO2 and fertilizers daily, it gets incredible. It just looks like a technicolor, orange, pink, red, yellow, purple, and green, lime green, just like raccoon tail or something like that. Can you please make a video on how aquatic plants get CO2 in the wild? Yeah, I could do that. I've kind of covered it in a few videos on photosynthesis and stuff. But yeah, I mean, they're getting it from decomposition of things at the bottom of lakes and things, and rivers. Just, it naturally forms as a byproduct of bacteria and fungi breaking things down, and then comes out in the water. Also, fish exhale it, but that's not where most plants are getting it from. The other place you get it is from the actual atmosphere. So when we think of air like we're breathing, that can get into your aquarium just by agitating, by breaking the surface tension of the water in your aquarium. You have CO2, you have O2, you have nitrogen, a ton of nitrogen. Yeah, and that's another one that is, you know, crucial for plants. And so they use those things from CO2 in a low tech. No, not using CO2, but like not adding CO2 necessarily. That wouldn't be low tech in my mind, other than that you have a lot of fish and you have a very thick substrate that is made of actively decomposing stuff, so you have these releases of the gases and things that most people are afraid of. I find that they do just fine. So Randy Roman, you have a good night too. Does air pump add small amounts of CO2? Yeah, totally. Yep, it adds CO2 and it adds air, so the fish aren't going to die. So the plants can use it and the fish can use it. So yeah, that's why power heads, bubble wands, things like that are great. Just by blowing bubbles or inserting an airline into your tank isn't going to really put a ton of anything into your tank. You have to break it up into little bubbles, and then when it hits the surface and the surface tension is broken of water, that's when it can absorb into little teeny micro bubbles. Or if you have a true like atomizer, diffuser, maybe like an ionizer or one of the electrolysis things that splits the ion or rips apart the ion bonds, makes ions out of H2O, I guess it would be. And that's debatable how much that is effective or what that does. I mean, we know that it does, that it occurs, but we just don't know how much it's worth doing. But in any case, I'm going to sign off now. I just want to thank you guys for the happy 4 years plus at this house, this apartment, keeping fish. I'm super excited. Yeah, I mean, it is negligible, I would say, the amount of CO2, getting back to that question real quick. It is probably negligible in that maybe it's 10% of what injecting CO2 would be. But I would wager that it's probably, I don't have any proof of this, it's probably better than adding liquid carbon that people do and think that's going to add carbon to anything. It's a different form of carbon, and you really need it in a gas form for the plants to use it, which will eventually decompose or be restructured through a cycle. But I think 10%, from what I've read, wouldn't be unheard of. Johanna Jean-Francois says, for rescaping, I was thinking of putting livestock water filtration in a container, rescape, then putting everything back in. Will that work? Yep. You might want to put an airline in, like just an air stone, if it's going to be in there more than like an hour or two. And that's about it. Jackson Tax, Alex Hugs, doll, and good luck. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're too kind. We'll have to go killifish hunting one of these days once I get settled, because now I'll have a big backyard to put them in. Outdoor cold water fish. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here tonight. Should have another video up tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday. I don't know. I have a few waiting too. I also have a video on how to tell the difference between neon tetras that are blue, that are green, how to tell the difference between cardinal tetra, diamond head tetra, albino neon tetra, those like 5 or 6 fish that kind of look similar. And I'll probably do one on Siamese algae eaters also, but I already have all the footage. I went to a fish store and actually got the footage of the other ones. All right, guys. Well, have a good one. Thanks for joining me. If you still got time and you want to figure it out, if you still want to browse around and figure out some of these questions that I didn't give you thorough answers to, just look for your question that you had or some keywords. Go to my channel and search, and there are 600 videos now. So there's a lot of content that people haven't seen, that maybe it was just old when I made it and I only had 1,000 subscribers. So it never saw enough daylight to get passed around and get popular, but I still, work just as hard on it. So, yeah. All right, guys. Vinosky Tanks, hello and goodbye. Greg the Guppy Guy, have a good night. Chevy Fish, thanks, mods. Thank you so much, super chatters. Thank you, members. Thank you, subscribers and members. Thank you, subscribers. Thank you, lurkers. Thank you, question askers and comment givers, advice givers, knowledge sharers. Those of you excited about the hobby, thank you all. I really do appreciate it. You guys make this channel half of what it is, more. And I just appreciate that. It's awesome to see that so many people want to actually learn and also, take a little bit of the sidetrack, chatting. We're all friends here, so we get off track frequently. But it touches my heart, and I'm just excited to get at it at the new house and everything. I'm excited to hopefully this coming year spend more time researching more stuff, getting more species, more breeding, more mid to big size fish, and doing cold water fish. So yeah, have a great night, guys. Take care. Bye.